For more on the California recall race and the ongoing battles in Washington, we are joined now by Democratic Congresswoman Karen Bass of California. Thank you so much for being here, Congresswoman. First, on the recall election, where do you think this race stands tonight? Are you confident that Governor Newsom will get the turnout and support he needs to keep his job?
Well, so far it is looking like that. I am very, very hopeful. There's no reason for us to think there's going to be some massive upsurge of Republican ballots coming in. And so far I feel good. Again, taking absolutely nothing for granted. So we're going to be doing calls and contacting people up until the time the polls close.
And what's your opinion? Is it too easy to recall public officials in California?
Yes. Absolutely. The process absolutely needs to be reformed on every level of government. Do you know that there's over 68 recalls going on every single level? School board, county commissioner, city council, district attorney, you name it. And there are recalls happening all around the state. And I think we need to take a serious look at this. We need to take a look at how easy it is to recall someone. Then we also need to see who's behind it all.
And going forward, do you think that there is enough political will in order to change how this happens in California?
I believe so. I believe so on a state level and on a local level, because really this could be, and I don't know this, but this could be a strategy to essentially grind government to a halt, to paralyze government. And so I think that that's what we have to take a look at. I know that I'm very interested in analyzing who started all these recalls, who's funding them. Because you can't just recall someone without financial backing, significant financial backing.
Republican Larry Elder has emerged as the front runner on the GOP side, and we've seen him already raise doubts about this election's integrity even before the results are known. So how do Democrats respond to these kinds of claims? Or do you not? Do you just ignore them altogether?
Oh, absolutely not. We cannot ignore them. But I do think that we need to look at it within the national context, because there is an undermining of the confidence of the election process nationally. Of course, it started with President Trump, what he did on Election Day. And so now we're questioning the integrity of our election system. And this is so ironic. For somebody like me who focuses on foreign affairs in Congress, we go around the world talking about the strength of our democracy. And then people see all around the country and around the world us questioning the very institution. So I believe that what is behind it is the fact that the Republican Party is using this as a strategy. You don't hear Democrats raising big questions about the integrity of elections. And mind you, the only time Republicans are raising questions about the integrity of elections is when they lose.
Let's turn now to Washington and some ongoing debates there. Today, Senate Democrats introduced the latest version of a sweeping election reform bill. And this one has the support of Senator Joe Manchin, who had opposed prior voting legislation. So is this new Freedom to Vote Act outlined today something that you and House Democrats can get behind if it gets passed in the Senate?
Well, I certainly need to take a look at it because it was introduced in the Senate and the House is not in session. But I will tell you, if they have reached a compromise and if it can stop the voter suppression that is taking place now, that is underway in states around the country, if it can stop what is going on specifically in Georgia, where they essentially purge the rolls of voters, and then if they don't like the outcome of the election, they can remove the officials who are in charge of elections. So they are setting the stage, not just for voter suppression, but to actually overturn the outcome of elections when they don't like it. If it addresses that, then I am all for it. But we do still have the issue of the filibuster. The question is, number one, whether or not Republicans will come on board, and if not, whether Democrats can compromise around the filibuster and get this done, which I think we need to use every tool in our toolbox to do this. The right to vote in this country is an existential question.
Congresswoman, you've been on the show several times this year and have expressed optimism about reaching a deal with Republicans on criminal justice reform. So far, that hasn't happened yet. Is that effort just completely stalled at this point? Where do things stand?
Well, first of all, it's on the specific issue of policing. We actually do have bipartisan support for many aspects of criminal justice reform. But I will tell you that my fingers are crossed. We met over the weekend, and I'm hoping to hear from Senator Scott today or tomorrow about his reaction to where we are right now. So theory is, if he will agree, because Senator Booker and I have agreed, if he will agree, then maybe there will be legislation that could come forward next week. But that is a big question, if.
Oh, potentially as soon as next week. If you're a betting woman, are you thinking before the end of the calendar year for sure?
Well, I mean, I think, frankly, it's critical that we do this. We turned out hundreds of thousands of voters in the last election with the promise that we were going to get voting rights done and police reform done. So far, it looks like voting rights, hopefully, will move along. We need to deliver on police reform.
So why should voters have faith in Democrats on issues like voting reform and criminal justice reform when we haven't yet seen major changes while Democrats have been in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House?
Well, you know, it's incumbent upon elected officials like myself to bring the public along as well so that they understand that we can pass what we want out of the House, but in the Senate, we still have this issue of the filibuster. And I'm hoping that we have some filibuster reform because we can't be held hostage by the minority party, which is exactly what is happening in the Senate. Not so in the House, but in the Senate. So I have to make sure that voters understand it is not enough to win the majority by one seat, which frankly, that's because of the vice president, that we have any semblance of a majority in the Senate, but then we have to win many, many more seats. So I'm hoping that people will see how close we got and why we have to turn out in such big numbers next year so that we can finish what we started last year.
And lastly, Congresswoman, let's just talk quickly about the debates on infrastructure and spending. Progressive House Democrats have stood by their position that they will not support the smaller infrastructure bill without also getting a vote on the larger proposed $3.5 trillion spending package. But it seems clear that it can't get through the Senate at that larger price tag. Are you willing to potentially risk not getting anything passed at all on infrastructure?
Well, no, I'm not willing to risk that, but I'm also not willing to concede the 3.5. And so we have to see where Manchin goes. I know what he said, but maybe there's some things that he needs to have in that bill for his state. You know, it often works like that. Speaker Pelosi is still sticking to 3.5 and doing both bills together, and I'm sticking with her.
California Congresswoman Karen Bass, thank you once again for your time. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.